Did the Minnesota Vikings just get a gift from the Washington Commanders? I'll explain my thoughts here in a second. But welcome in the Vikings now by Chat Sports. My name is Patrick Siepman, and coming up on today's show, we're going to talk about the Vikings potentially trading for one of the most well-known defensive tackles in the National Football League from the Washington Commanders, and that guy is actually Jonathan Allen, and this was tweeted out by Jonathan Jones yesterday saying sources tell NFL on CBS the Washington Commanders have granted two-time Pro Bowl defensive tackle Jonathan Allen permission to seek a trade. So we'll talk about Jonathan Allen on today's show. Also, the last two years, have been a little bit of a poor performance from Jonathan Allen, but he was also great in the playoffs. So we'll break this down in full and also talk about some interest that Jonathan Allen could potentially have coming to the Minnesota Vikings. But before we dive into it, we're actually starting a sub battle or a race to 100 subscribers with our Lions talk show here at Chat Sports. They have beaten us, 6 out of the last 6 times. I think it's 3 seasons in a row the Lions have swept us. I cannot lose this sub battle. I can't stand the Lions. So if you guys want to help me out, go down there, hit that subscribe button. We just need 100 subscribers so we could win this sub battle on today's show. We just need your guys' help. Subscribe to the channel today. All right, so more on Jonathan Allen. So Darren Wolfson was talking about this with the Score North boys. Shout out to them. Do great work over there. But he pretty much said this. Allen would have all sorts of interest in playing for the Vikings per, obviously, Darren Wolfson. Now, Darren Wolfson, pretty tapped-in beat reporter for the Minnesota Vikings, and he's not just, saying this to say it. Somebody told him this. Somebody gave him some information that would indicate that Jonathan Allen would have some interest in coming to the Minnesota Vikings. And also, I don't think maybe it doesn't require a trade. What the Commanders just end up cutting him. We'll give you guys more thoughts on that here in a second. But here are his stats over the last 4 seasons. Now, the last 2 years, and specifically this last season, in and out of the lineup due to injuries, but he was still able to be somewhat productive. 3 sacks in 8 games. In that 2023 season, 5.5 sacks. 2022 and 21 were his 2 best years in the National Football League, having 9 sacks, 10 TFLs in 21. And then that 2022 season, he was also awesome. 7.5 sacks, 16 TFLs. Now, I know what everybody's saying. Oh, Jonathan Allen's cooked. He's not the same guy he once was. I agree to a certain point. But also, I think this is a guy where he's a big game player. And these are his PFF grades from the divisional round against the Detroit Lions. Because I remember watching this game, I remember saying, oh man, Jonathan Allen still has a lot left in the tank. And PFF agreed. Overall grade, 80.5. Run defense, 53.3. Not great. Tackle grade, 66.8. Pretty solid there. But the pass rush grade, 90.2. He was wrecking havoc in this game. And also, when you think about a guy like quarterbacks in this division, Jordan Love, Caleb Williams, Jared Goff, they all can't handle interior pressure, just like most quarterbacks, but specifically with those 3, they really crumble when you have interior pressure. And Jonathan Allen, he can do just that. But I do think, in terms of a Jonathan Allen trade, if the Vikings hypothetically go all in during free agency on the offensive line, where I'm talking Trey Smith, we're talking Drew Dahlman, and we have a stacked offensive line heading into next season. And maybe you miss on a guy like Osa from the Cowboys or a guy like Milton Williams from the Eagles, and you got to go out there and you got to trade for a defensive tackle, then maybe Jonathan Allen would make some sense. But also, I do think the Vikes are probably going to go pretty aggressive on interior offensive line during free agency. Check out what Kwesi had to say right here. On the roster, he said, we know what we need to improve. We're going to aggressively attack it because we believe in turning potential weakness into strength. I just have a feeling this finally might be the offseason that the Vikings pull up the Brinks trucks and they are paying offensive linemen big time money. Because as a Vikings fan, this has been an issue for the last, 10 seasons? Probably since 2009 was the last time we had a good interior offensive line. I could really see them, and maybe if Trey Smith doesn't decide to go to the Vikes, but they'll probably toss him big money. They'll probably try to toss Drew Dahlman big money if they cut Bradbury. So I got a feeling the offensive line will be fixed in free agency. And then if it is fixed, maybe a guy like Jonathan Allen could be on the table. But final thoughts on Allen here. The Vikings just don't have enough draft capital to trade for him. Now, if we're talking like a 2026 6th or 7th round pick, then yeah, I would do so. But I'm assuming Washington wants a draft pick from this year's class. And with the Vikings, having 2 5ths and no 6th, no 7th round picks, I don't want to give up one of my 5ths for Jonathan Allen. I would just wait until he's cut. I think there's a good chance that he will be cut by the Washington Commanders. Then if he is, then yeah, the Vikings go sign him on a 1-year, $8-9 million deal, just kind of a prove-it year with Minnesota. Tough decision, but let's just say hypothetically Jonathan Allen is cut. Should the Vikings sign him? You guys let me know your thoughts down below in the comment section. Give me an S for sign or give me a P for pass if the Vikings should sign Jonathan Allen. Not trade for him, hypothetically. If he's cut from the Washington Commanders, should the Vikings sign him? Give me an S for sign or a P for pass. All right, coming up now on today's show, report card time. The NFLPA dropped their latest report card breaking down every single organization in the National Football League. We'll show you guys those grades there in a second, but I actually do think when these grades come out, it all starts at the top. It starts at the ownership group, and Kwesi actually talked about the Vikings owners at the scouting combine.
Our owners are great. They allow us to do our job, but it's our job to present to them our logic, always. Every decision we make, what's the why? They're very big process people, and so, they're running a business, and so it's my job to show them our logic, and we do that. So they are involved, but they are very good at letting people do their jobs, and they ask a lot of good questions. They're really talented, and I try and ask them questions about real estate so I can maybe get on their level one day. But they're great. They're great resources for us.
Pretty cool stuff there, I'm not going to lie. Hearing Kwesi talk about this ownership group, now we've known the Wilfs have been a very involved ownership group, pretty much giving the Vikings whatever they could ask for, like big-time facilities, a great strength and training room. They have literally been, a great ownership group. Are they the most cash-rich ownership group compared to other NFL teams? No, but the thing I love the most about the Wilfs is that they just give a shit. Like, they care so much about this football team being successful. That's why the report card grades, it's all A- and A+ for the Minnesota Vikings. Kevin O'Connell is actually the third highest graded head coach in the National Football League. He got an A+. Ownership group, shout out to the Wilfs, got an A+. Treatment of families, A+ as well, but a great locker room, that's getting an A+. Training staff, strength coaches, team travel, all getting A. And then food and dining area, A-. The Bengals actually had an F. Apparently they're not even giving the Bengals 3 meals a day, which is freaking crazy. But also training room, A-. Weight room, A-. Like, that's big-time news for the Vikes. That clearly players in your organization know how special this organization is. And then if you just start connecting the dots, like, Byron Murphy, Cameron Bynum, like, these guys who are on the Vikings team who are set to go be free agents, do you want to go, play for another team and get out of a, honestly, a first-class organization? Shout out to M. Mac for dropping that in the live chat as we are live when we were filming this. But they are a first-class organization, but more on the NFLPA on just talking about the grades here to get you guys some context. They had this to say: one of our core jobs as a union is to improve the overall working conditions for our players, which includes the daily experience of players at the team facilities away from the lights and cameras. 1,659 of our players provided information to share with one another about their current club to not only help them make important career decisions, but also help raise standards across the league. And that part about to not only help them make important career decisions, that matters, and this should help the Vikings attract big-time free agents. Like, I'm looking at guys like Trey Smith, Drew Dahlman, where Trey Smith, coming from a great organization, the Kansas City Chiefs, no doubt, was playing in 4 out of the last 5 Super Bowls. If I'm Trey Smith, are you heading to the Chicago Bears over the Minnesota Vikings, which the Bears are going to toss this guy a whole lot of money? And Trey Smith, actually, his wife is from the Chicago area. But, man, if the Vikings want Trey Smith, I think they can go get him. And I would be all in on signing him. I was, again, at first during this kind of whole offseason process, I was kind of flip-flopping on Trey Smith because he did get his ass kicked in the Super Bowl against a stacked Eagles defensive line, but still one of the most consistent guards in the National Football League. And with that being an issue for the Vikings over the last 10-ish seasons, I'd be all in on to throw Trey Smith the bag. But also a guy like Milton Williams, he's at the Eagles organization, a great organization. Do you want to leave Philadelphia and head to a team that, let's just say, isn't as well run as the Vikings or the Eagles? I doubt it. So I'm sure Milton, if the Vikings toss him a $21 million per year salary, he's going to at least consider it. And lastly, Drew Dahlman. If I'm him, I'm heading to Minnesota. Now, obviously, it's easier, saying that as a Vikings fan, obviously. But, you would potentially be the center of the future for J.J. McCarthy. And let's just say Dahlman, like us here at Vikings now, let's just say he's a J.J. McCarthy truther, and he believes this guy is going to be the man, and you got the first-class organization that the Vikings are, why not do it? Like, why not come to Minnesota? So I think those NFLPA stuff, I know it's kind of – they put it out there. They kind of grab headlines where it's like, oh, this guy was this, or this team had this grade, this team had this grade. Like the Jets ownership, they got an F grade. Shout out to Woody Johnson for that one. But, like, I just still really believe that matters. But speaking about the quarterback of the future, J.J. McCarthy, we actually got a link for you guys to go land his jersey right now. Just hit that link, chatsports.com/Vikings jersey. Got it for you guys in the comment section and description. If you guys haven't already, this guy's going to be under center for the Minnesota Vikings for at least the next 10 seasons. Really do believe that. So if you guys want to go land a J.J. McCarthy jersey, hit that link right there, chatsports.com/Vikings jersey. And on the way out, you guys tell me this. Who is your dream Vikings free agent target? Is it a Trey Smith? Is it a Drew Dahlman? Do you want to go defensive line with Milton Williams? Or do you want to go get a guy like DJ Reed in the secondary? You guys let me know. Who is your dream Vikings free agent target? If you guys want more Vikings content also on your Twitter or X timeline, that's a handle right there, @PatSieps. Give me a follow over there, and if you guys a follow right back. We'll see you guys next time. As always, just go Vikes.